As a lawn guy, I always look for smart, easy irrigation, since irrigation can be one of the more annoying parts of lawn care, especially when seeding. Then you need to do it 3-4 times a day. You want that light mist. You don't want the water to come out too aggressively, so you shoot away all the seeds. And today we're actually going to try out the Sumi Soaker. I saw this thing on Instagram about a year ago and it looked so cool. I really wanted to try it out. So I'm really glad that Garden Import sent me one to try. I haven't tried it yet, so today will be the first time. So first I'm just going to show you how to assemble it. Alright, so first let's put in the filter. Now you might not need the filter, but if you're drawing water from a well or a lake or something like that, or if you know you have some dirt in your water, you might want to use it. And my water is pretty clean, so I really don't need to use this, but I'm going to show you how to put it on anyways. Now you have an open end of the filter, and then you have a closed end. Then you need to run the string all across like this, just pull it through, and then you take the open end, pull it back on top of the pipe, and then you just pull it all the way like this. Now this reminds me of something else. I'm not gonna say what it is, but it does. And then you take this ring and then you just put it on top and just lock it into place like this. And now the filter is done, and then you take this gray piece and just put it on like this. Make sure it's tight, and once you put on the gray part, you need one of these hose end connectors. But if you haven't got any of these at home, you can just order them on Amazon or somewhere. They're really cheap. But then you just screw that on over here, and there you go. And the final step is to actually take the rubber hose and put it on here. So let's open up the rubber hose. This is the 20-meter one. And now you just fit the thread in here. And then you actually remove the ring and put it on the other side. So you can actually fit the tube over the hose. And you also need to put it on top of the actual filter, and there you go. And now you take the ring and push it back on top of the rubber tube. Now just make sure you pull down the ring over here and make sure it's tight, and then you're good to go. And that's it. And this is the stopper. This one you can use if you don't need to use the entire length of the tube. And talking about using the entire tube, this thing comes in 5 to I think 50 meters, but you need to have the pressure to be able to handle all the 50 meters. And on Garden Import's website, you actually have the pressure you need for different lengths. So just check that out before you decide how long of a tube you need. And I have a 20-meter one. I would have actually wanted to try the longest one just to compare the difference between a 20-meter and a 50-meter tube with the pressure I have. But for now we're gonna try the 20-meter one. And there's also actually a reel for this thing where you can just reel it back in. I'm not gonna put it on right now because I wanna try it, but I might show you how it works at the end of the video. There's also another huge benefit of the Sumi Soaker, the most fun benefit of all, but I'll show you that later in the video. All right, this thing is put together and ready to go. By the way, isn't the lawn looking great? I still have some patches I'm fixing, but it hasn't filled in yet, but overall it's starting to look pretty good again. I love the color, it's so green. Even though we have a heat wave right now and pretty much no rain for a couple of weeks, it's looking awesome. All right, now for the Sumi Soaker. So this is just the first try. I've just put it around here just to see how much it actually covers. And you need to make sure the text is up, pointing up, because that's where the holes are. And then we just connect it on like this. Just make sure you actually turned off the water. You don't want it to go on full pressure right away. And there you go. Now we just slowly turn on the water. You don't want to fully turn it on straight away. All right, so issue number one. Apparently you need to put on the stopper. I thought it had a natural stop at the end. I thought this one was just if you want to stop it earlier, but no, it's just open-ended. So all the water just went out the other side. So I'm just gonna put this thing on. All right, stopper in place. Now let's try this again. All right, so it's opened up all the way now. I'm not sure how much the camera picks up, but it looks super cool. So it's covering, as you can see, most of the deck. So this could definitely be moved inwards. I think you can manage with the big U to cover this entire section, because you can see how far it actually reaches. It goes all the way almost to the end of the deck. I think you can see it better from here, right? It looks super cool. It's too bad this is only 20 meters. If it was 50, I bet I could cover this part and go all around that corner and cover some of that side strip as well. All right, so I moved it around a bit. I wanted to see how much coverage you can actually get. So I put it smack down the middle. So it goes all the way up until here, and then it goes slightly around, and we'll see how much coverage I can get. I'm actually gonna measure how much water output you have using these rain gauges. These are awesome, by the way, if you wanna check coverage. I use them all the time. Every time I buy a new sprinkler or try out something, I use these. And these are super cheap, always good to have. Make sure you don't miss anything, especially if you're seeding and only watering with the sprinkler. Then you need to be able to trust that you actually cover everything. All right, so I put the gauges out. One over here, one to see how far it reaches over here, one over there by the corner, one over there, right by the deck, and one really close by to see if you cover actually closer to the tube. So now I'm actually gonna start this thing and let it be for about 10-15 minutes. So it's been on for about 10-15 minutes. Now let's just check the rain gauges and see how much coverage we actually had. So let's check this one first. It's pretty far away from it. Barely had any water in it at all. So this part is about 4 meters. So it doesn't go 4 meters. Let's see if it goes half of that, so about 2 meters. All right, so this one has water in it. A pretty decent amount for just 10-15 minutes. So 2 meters, it can handle pretty well. Now let's look at the one closest to it. This one also has pretty much the same as the one 2 meters away. It's a bit longer from here to there. So I would say about 3 meters to this one. Far less than 2 meters, but still some at least. All right, so as you can see, it seemed to be working best at around 2.5 meters. So the best way for me to cover my lawn would be with a U, like I did at the start. Putting it in the middle like this won't get me coverage up until the edges. But if I had a tube that is more than 20 meters, I would have easily been able to cover the entire backyard and actually some of the side. So one of the pros is that you can actually move this thing around. If you have corners, awkward angles, you can just move this thing around, and it works really well with low pressure. If you have low pressure, this would be perfect for you. And I like the light mist. It's absolutely perfect for when seeding. Especially for seeding, this is super awesome. The one negative thing I would say is that I would have wished for a regulator around the hose pipe. I mean, imagine putting this thing on the other side of the house. You can't really see if it's all lined up and perfect. I mean, for my house, for instance, then I have to go all the way around to this side to turn on the water, and then I have to go all the way back, check if everything is okay. If it's not, then I have to go all the way back again, turn off the water. So just have a regulator at the hose pipe where you can just turn on and turn off the water, or even adjust the pressure. That would be awesome. I'll put a link to the SumiSoaker in the description below if you want to check it out. I think it's awesome since I seed pretty much every spring, and maybe sometimes in the fall as well, but depending on the patches. And I'm definitely gonna use the SumiSoaker for watering those patches because it's awesome for seeding. I always end up with some patches where I just push the seeds away. No matter how well you actually cover the seeds, at some point if you have too much water on them, especially if the water comes in pretty aggressively, sometimes it can do even with an oscillating sprinkler, but I don't see it happening with the SumiSoaker, so I'm definitely going to use it for that. And I think my in-laws are going to love this thing because their water pressure is awful. It's actually super awful. This is going to work perfectly for them. So I might actually give this one to them and actually buy a longer one for myself, just to be able to cover this entire backyard in one go. I said I would show you one huge benefit of the SumiSoaker. It's not lawn care related at all, but it's by far the most fun benefit of this thing.